Hello, this is Shorey. This is my digital framework, and I just want to say we were tasked with taking this and turning it into this. No easy feats. So this is about the 5th template I've tried, and I don't know how many iterations of this particular template, but here it is. It's morphed into something completely different than where I started. I started organizing by era. So I've got the era of conditioned learning all the way up to the emergent era of goal-directed learning. My plan was just to put the eras there, and as I came across a new theory, I just plug it into the appropriate era. It didn't turn out to be quite that easy. Each era might represent the time period during which a certain theory was developed or a seminal work was published. But the theories didn't just go away once the era ended. So we've got the first era, which is the era of conditioned learning. And this is where researchers began applying the behaviorist theories to literacy and not just psychology. And this is when reading became a recognized field. In fact, I thought it was interesting the International Reading Association was what transformed reading research. But there you go. So behaviorist, that was the first era, but it certainly hasn't gone away. We do it every day when we praise someone for something specific they did, sometimes during guided reading, sometimes with behavior, sometimes with skills. So the theories during each era just continue to build on or they modify previous theories. A recurring theme throughout the readings is that all of our knowledge about literacy is developed as a result of combining what's come before. So one more theory is added to the body of knowledge. Either it changes slightly or it's just added. One example is sociocultural theory, which is from 1985 to 1995. But the one before it was the era of information processing. So we've got the transactional theory, which is Rosenblatt. And he said that meaning doesn't exist within the text itself, but in the reader's responses to the text. So it's transactional between the reader and the text, and the reader makes meaning based on, well, he said based on time and context, but as we know, our understanding of the text is also based on our background and our schema and our assumptions. And schema theory doesn't come till later, till the sociocultural era, which is next. So researchers in that era theorize that our understanding is based on our interaction with other people, that it's socially constructed. So let me turn on constructionism. There's all sorts of different ones, but here's constructionism, such as it is. This is a big mess. But with constructionism, learners work together to develop a deeper understanding. They hear alternate viewpoints and they share the experience. So that's how they make the meaning. Socio theory doesn't really negate transactional theory, which came first. It just adds to it.
7203 is here. 7203 is here. The only one we're waiting on now is 09 and 49.
So grad school is an example of both theories coming into play together. So first we read a chapter, we interact with the text on our own, we make sense of it based on our personal experiences and our prior knowledge. And then we have to have discussions with our classmates and do videos and interact that way. So by sharing our ideas, we're able to go deeper with our thinking. We gain other perspectives that might influence how we thought of it. And we're utilizing the sociocultural aspects of reading. Another example of theories building on each other is the neuroimaging. So neurology and artificial intelligence were introduced during the era of natural learning, which was 1966 to 1975, where they talked about neurology and artificial intelligence were the conditions for change. But now, in our era, we can do neuroimaging and computer modeling. So again, it's built on what came before. So let's see. computer modeling and neuroimaging were used for word recognition theories. So we've got our neuroscientific approaches where you can do neuroimaging, and then we've got our computational methodologies, which include building computational models by computer. So again, knowledge builds from previous knowledge. So the last era is, there's a focus on critical thinking with this one, because there's a concern that kids are no longer thinking critically. Not sure if they ever did, but apparently they don't now. And I think it's ironic we're concerned about critical thinking, yet we've got this testing culture. The testing culture in teaching to the test, taking multiple choice tests, doing well on the PSSAs, kind of takes away from the whole idea of teaching critical thinking. But it doesn't need to. If you teach critical thinking, then students should do well on the test, but it hasn't turned out that way. Our current testing culture really bothers me. It seems as if we've completely forgotten about everything we've learned about child development, how children learn and how they demonstrate their knowledge. For example, kindergartners don't do their best by sitting on the carpet and having a lesson. They need to explore and play and develop their oral language, and they need to develop relationships with each other and learn in social context. But our current curriculum is not developmentally appropriate. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. They might not be developmentally ready for sitting on the carpet learning lessons. In my school currently, toys are not allowed, so there's no dress-up area, no kitchen. It was similar when I taught at Widener, but I did it anyway. We had dress-up, we had kitchen. We did it during indoor recess, so I didn't have to call it curriculum. And the kids talked to each other. They played. They made food. They developed social skills and problem solving in oral language. I had an oral language center where they played with sand and animals and other objects related to the theme we were doing. It might have looked like they were just playing, but they were talking. They were having conversations, using their imaginations and working together. They were developing critical thinking. So last I have literacy, and actually there's nothing there. So far we've got word recognition and fluency theories, which I broke down between word recognition. I wrote down all the theories here. I'm not going to read them. And then we have the neuroscientific methodologies, the computational methodologies, and of course behavioral, which leads us right back to 1950 or the 50s with conditional learning, and then fluency theories and fluency research. So last, we've got methodologies over here, and one thing I just wanted to point out based on the building that I've been talking about is that all the learning we have about any of this literacy stuff is based on doing all different kinds of research using multiple methodologies. So everything built on everything else. Theories weren't developed just by one. They were developed by quantitative and qualitative and everything in between. So that's what I have so far, and I'll talk to you in another video. Bye.